A father and son, a bond so strong, talking hockey all day long. Royally Quacked, their podcast show, sharing stories, highs and lows. From the Kings to the Ducks they go. Shout and go, Kings, go! Quack, quack, they cheer. My father and son, their passion sincere on the ice. Their love appears through the highs and lows in the years.
Welcome back, hockey fans, to Royally Quacked, another special edition. We're doing the Kings player grades this time. So we have three guests to help me out, plus, of course, the quacky guy over there in the corner. We have Kevin, who is one of our biggest fans, and he's been on before.
Absolutely.
So say hi, Kevin.
Hi, I'm Kevin. Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. Always love listening to you guys, and an honor to be invited back on.
And then we also have Jesse Cohen, all the Kings men. Say hi,
Royal
Jesse.
Half Radio.
Hello. The song is new since the last time I was here, and because it's 2026, I have to ask: are those real people or was that AI?
That was
AI.
that was completely AI.
Okay.
I could lie and say that was us singing, but that would be a
Oh,
lie.
Just curious.
Oh, it took me about 2 days to come up with that in like 30 different songs. But
Yeah.
I think that I finally hit the sweet spot.
I love that song. So it's perfect for who we are. And then we have, one-time Kings player and radio and TV analyst Daryl Evans.
Hey guys, how you doing?
That's good. So let's just jump right into this because I know time is crucial for everybody involved. We're going to probably just go alphabetically. We're going to start off with Mikey Anderson. And Kevin, why don't you tell us what you think of how Mikey played?
Yeah, Mikey Anderson. I mean, it's a tough one. I mean, I feel like, okay, so I want to start off and just say like what my criteria for these grades are, because I don't want to be, it's very hard to give a player an F that's a professional hockey player. If they're playing reasonable minutes in the National Hockey League, giving an F just does not sit right with me anyways. But Mikey Anderson, I do think he probably played a little below expectation this year. Was not bad by any means, but let's give him a C. I feel like maybe he'll have a better year this year. And maybe, I mean, we did actually see, I would just like to add, when that pairing was broken up, the Dumoulin Cece pairing, and he did play with Cece for a bit. I feel like he was actually a little helping him a little bit, carrying that weight a little bit. So got to give him some credit there.
Okay. How about you, Jesse?
So my criteria was to compare players to the rest of the league at their minutes played and also their own career, right? I tried to sort of create some sort of curve on like how do they fit into the whole league and then how do they fit in compared to where they've been. Mikey Anderson's not an offensive player. So the fact that he basically came in at around, his average for the last 4 years, he had 20 points, which is pretty much on pace for where he's been at. And he and Doughty still are an incredibly effective defensive pair. So you're not looking to them for offense. You're looking to Doughty to create the offense on that pair, not Mikey Anderson. So Mikey Anderson held up his part of the bargain offensively. And defensively, that pair still did their job. So I give it a low B, high C, just because it wasn't anything spectacular. They didn't, he wasn't in any conversations for best defenseman of the year or anything, but I thought he basically did his job in a season where, they fired a coach and they were shuffling lines and D pairs and changing the play style 3/4 of the way through the season.
Okay. What about you, Daryl?
Well, I take a look at when I rank guys, I kind of put them up against their career, what the expectations are, and that's kind of what I use for my platform. And I think in Mikey's case, I think Mikey kind of played as advertised. As Jesse had just mentioned there, I think Mikey's used in a defensive role that sometimes gets underappreciated for the job that he does. So I'd put him at a B. I think Mikey still continued to play real solid defensively. I still think there's maybe a little bit more offense in his game that may come out, and that may mean playing with a different pairing, but only time will tell to see if that happens. But I think Mikey, from a coaching staff standpoint, you know what to expect from him night in and night out. He's very competitive. and he's got a lot of respect from the opposing teams the way he plays.
Okay. I also gave Mikey a B. He did have 20 points. He was a +8 on a team that struggled for regulation wins. Played almost a little over 20 minutes every night. So I gave him a B. How about you, Cody? Since you're sitting on the outside of that, how would you feel about Mikey?
Well, I'm just surprised every player on the Kings didn't average 20 minutes with all the overtime they had this year. I would give Mikey a B as well.
Okay.
I like his defensive play, and honestly, I think any other team would love to have a Mikey Anderson on their team as well.
So the next player we're going to talk about is Joel Armia. Oh, you want to give the
Our
fans did?
consensus? Yes.
So a B or C, pretty much everything we did.
Yep.
So we were right in line with that. Joel Armia, who came in as a free agent, expecting to be a penalty killer, and he ended up being like the short-handed goal king for them. And other than being hurt, I'm going to give my grade to start off. I gave Joel Armia a B+. Go to you now, Cody.
Oh, back to me. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he was in Montreal for most of his career. He's been, a third or fourth line winger. And I felt like he played some very valuable minutes for the Kings. And I think he even ended up playing some top 6 minutes this year, and kind of surprised how well he did up there. So if I'm going just off of just what I expected from him, I would probably give him a B+, just because we were just expecting him to be a bottom 6 winger, and him playing very well in the penalty kill for you guys, and playing some top 6 minutes, and performing up there. So I'll give him a B+.
And how about you, Daryl?
I think with Armia this year, I thought he did a really good job, got off to a great start, and transitioning, playing with the Kings, he was a really good fit. Penalty kill, he was outstanding. Unfortunately, the injury at the Olympics there kind of took him back a notch. I don't think he ever really recovered from that completely. I probably would have ranked him higher had he been able to play all the way through and at the level that he was, but I would put him at a B+.
Okay. Jesse?
I gave him a B, but mostly because, and I said this before we started recording, mostly because it's difficult for me to lean heavily into positivity. Like, I thought Armia outkicked his coverage, to mix sport metaphors.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you.
But having said that, he scored 13 goals and 25 points. Like, this isn't a dude who came in and scored 40 goals and like blew all of our hats off. Like, he did exactly what was asked of him, and then he did a bunch more than was asked of him. So I want to give him praise for that. But I also want to sort of pump the brakes and resist the urge to be like, oh my God, what a fantastic season for Joel Armia. Like, yeah, it was really good. And thank God they had him. So I give him a B. all that for a B, which is still a pretty good grade.
So now we're going to go to me. I have 3 grades for this person, but I don't want to go first.
Oh, Dad, you got to go to Kevin.
Yeah.
Oh, Kevin. Sorry, Kevin. Forgot about you.
Thank you.
Hey,
Thank you.
see, I did it last week, and you gave me crap.
Well, here's your turn, Cody. Yeah, to give it right back.
Exactly.
But no, yeah, Joel Armia, above what was advertised, right? The way he played. Availability is the best ability, or whatever they say. So he missed 15 games after the Olympics and did actually tail off, like you mentioned, Daryl. I felt like maybe we would have seen over 82 games, maybe closer to 20 goals, 20 assists. Then you could say A for a fourth line guy who did end up playing basically all up and down the lineup, and even played. I feel like he played like a game or two at center, even right at some point during the season. Yep. So yeah, B feels good. B+ probably even, but we only got the choices of no plus or minus to straight up B, so that's what I gave him.
Wait, is that right? We're not allowed to use pluses or minuses?
Oh, this is just how I voted.
You can get plus or minus.
I've got one big plus slated for later.
Okay.
Or work to add B+, B-,
Right.
C+.
All right.
I'm lazy, Jesse. Okay.
Okay. So we got Quentin Byfield next. Kevin, since I don't want to forget you again, let you go first.
No, thank you. Yeah. Well, Byfield. Listen, I mean, it was a season that started off started off actually well, right? He played really well. And I think it was the second game of the season against Vegas. It was like a really exciting comeback. The Kings were scoring a lot of goals the first in that game. Brant Clark played well that game too. But then after that, and notice how I said 2 games into the season, 1 performance, it felt like it started to tail off really, really quickly. But then we saw a resurgence from Byfield towards the end of the season, kind of like we did. I mean, we've seen before from him, right? So we saw it again, and that was great. And he was like around point per game pace almost at that point, and he was just playing incredibly and making me excited to see him this year between Panarin and Kempe. Imagine if that line actually happens. I don't know. We've seen Laviolette talk about Kempe moving to center. We'll see. But maybe he'll be hitting closer to what we had originally anticipated, those point totals, production levels we saw from him. All that to say, we give him a C. He was not that great at first. He got better. He was a C.
Okay. How about you, Daryl?
I think with Byfield, what we've seen, and it's been pretty consistent throughout his career, the inconsistency, moments when he looks like a highlight reel type of guy, and then other times when he looks more average. Definitely great abilities, his skating, shoots the puck extremely well. I think this year's a big year coming up for him because now he's going to be looked to as the number 1 guy. He's going to take on that number 1 power play unit. So this is going to be kind of his team to put on his shoulders. So looking at the way he performed last year and with regards to expectations, I'd have to put him at about a B minus. Again, still expectations to see a lot more come from him. And this is going to be a breakthrough year for him.
Okay. What about you, Jesse?
I agree with Daryl. I give him a B. And I do want to just say for the record, because I feel compelled to, I think it was Kevin saying he expects to see him between Kempe and Panarin. I don't expect to see him on the top line.
To.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I don't expect him to be on the top line. I fully expect him to be the second line center. I think Daryl's right. He probably will center that top power play. And I think he has been looked to play a role that he plays very well, defensive shutdown role, that was never expected of him. And for better or for worse, when you're drafted second overall and there's all this hype around you, like, I think he's a very good hockey player, and he needs to work on becoming more of an offensive force. But for the where he was drafted and the expectations that are sort of placed on him and the rhetoric that sort of refuses to go away regardless of evidence, like, he's not going to replace Anze Kopitar. Anze Kopitar is so good, you cannot replace Anze Kopitar. The best Quentin Byfield can hope to do in terms of the Anze Kopitar conversation is be the first Quentin Byfield, not the next Anze Kopitar. So to give that player a B, to me, feels disappointing, even though that is ultimately the grade I give him.
Okay. What about you, Cody?
C. I still think there's room for him to grow, but
now, Cody, I have to ask, if Philadelphia had offered him, 8 years at $15 million, would you bump that grade up?
Honestly, I wish Philadelphia did that because they'd probably hate it. I'm not going to. I'm just going to keep. I don't want to get into it.
I had to do it, Cody. I'm sorry. Daryl, Cody's a Ducks fan, so that was just a shot.
I got it.
Ducks fan.
That's news to me.
I had to duck on that one. Jesse almost got me.
Man, no, this is a Kings podcast. I'm not going to get into that. All right. But back to Byfield. I would laugh at Philadelphia if they did that because they'd probably instantly hate that contract instantly. But I would say C just because I feel like we could see a lot more for him. But maybe he's no longer in the shadow of Kopitar. Maybe he can finally grow and be his own. Sometimes you maybe need that extra time just to really get out there and grow as a player. And he's still very young. He's still a very young player, and there's still room for him to grow. And I hope he gets better.
So I actually have 3 grades I gave to Byfield. I give him like a C+ just because of how good a defensively he was for all the season. But if he doesn't come on at the last month of the season, we don't even make the playoffs. And in that month, he was an A. I mean, we were not going to be a playoff team. But my overall grade is pretty much in line with all you guys. Overall, I give him a B- because he did play penalty kill. He played power play. He played everywhere. He's asked a lot of them. Where we want him to grow is offensively. And I don't know. I kind of hope, like Kevin does, that they let him go shine with some guys who can help him shine, which would be like Panarin and Kempe. You got two guys that just can play hockey, probably our two best players, and they hopefully could lead him to be one of those players too. So I gave him a B- overall. So now we'll go to Cody Cece. Who wants to attack Cody Cece first?
Well, I'll go
Attack-
first. I'll
Attack
go
a
first.
defenseman.
Okay, Daryl.
Yeah, I think last year was a very disappointing season for Cody, and he'll be the first to admit it. So he definitely underachieved. I expect him to rebound and bounce back with a real solid year this year. Is he going to go out and score 50 points? No, that's not Cody Cece, but I expect him to be a lot more noticeable in the lineup, a lot more dependable, reliable. I think the coaching staff will get more out of him than what he produced last year, both offensively and defensively. So, saying that, probably going to give him a a C- type of thing. I don't think that he it wasn't from lack of effort. I just think things got off to a slow start, and he never got any traction. So I think he just buried last year. I think you have to look back at his track record, and I think he deserves an opportunity to be able to right the ship and get his game back on, and I think he will do that this year.
Hey, Kevin, how about you?
Yeah. So when CC came in, he was advertised like we're getting this penalty killer. I mean, you could say he was directly coming in for Jordan Spence as well, a completely different archetype of player there. And it started out pretty rough, right? That Dumoulin CC pairing was broken up pretty quickly. We saw them come back together eventually. And honestly, I know what a lot of the discourses around this player amongst the fans. And to be honest, I am not totally on board with that. I'm not the big Cody CC hater. In fact, I think he was all right, especially later on in the season. We started to notice him less. And what I mean by that is he's supposed to be a defensive guy, right? We didn't notice him. That means he's not making those mistakes as often anyways. And for me, that points towards what Daryl mentioned, the possibility for more of a bounce back season. I imagine he's a thorough professional based on the career he's had and the type of guy that will say that this wasn't his best season. So I'll back him to recover this year. We'll see how he does. He's definitely going to be playing, it looks like, right, as on that third pairing. Whether it's with Gustafsson or Dumoulin, though, that actually might be interesting and worthy of a conversation, though.
What was the grade?
We gave him a D. High D, though. D+, C-.
Okay. I'll go next. I gave him a D+. I mean, thought he was a little worse than what Daryl said, in my opinion. Really didn't do a whole lot. I certainly hope all these players improve on their how I rated them this year. But I thought they overpaid for him and gave him too long of a contract. And part of that has to go into, it's not his fault that happened. That's a Ken Holland problem. But I gave him a D+. What about you, Jesse?
So this one I kind of cheated because I am 100% pandering to what the fan base wants in this situation. I gave him a D. Like Kevin, I am not a huge Cody CC hater. There have been defensemen that have played for the Kings over the years where you could see with your own two eyeballs where the deficiencies were, where the plays were leading to goals against. You could watch them play and you could go, oh no, that guy's terrible, or that pair leads to goals against. I didn't see that for Cody CC, but he did come in to replace Jordan Spence. Like, you can, hem and haw about it all you want, but Jordan Spence was dispatched and Cody Ceci was signed in free agency, and Spence and Gavrikov would have made $8.5 million last year, and Dumoulin and Ceci made $8.5 million last year. And the organization can deny it all they like. I think it's pretty clear that Cody Ceci was brought in because he's 6'3", and he's supposed to be a sort of penalty killing, shot blocking, defensively stalwart player. And he didn't rack up a ton of points. He didn't block a ton of shots. He was middle of the pack effectively on the penalty kill and goals against, as far as I think I jotted it down. There's 146 defensemen with 1,000 minutes played. He was like in the middle of the pack. in almost everything. He was under 50% on Corsi 4 and goals for percentages. Second PK unit, -10, second worst on the team. Like, he was just kind of there, not doing a fantastic job and not contributing to offense in a season where the team desperately needed offense more than anything. And people hated him. And that's not his fault, but it doesn't help. And he started the season with one hand tied behind his back by, no fault of the organization or him, but like, people were just angry about the signing to start the season. So he needed to jump off to a hot start. And right off the bat, was it 3 games in, they were like, no, we need to switch the deep pairs. We messed up. Him and Dumoulin don't work. So he was trying to dig himself out of a hole from the very start. So I give him a D just because it was just from a PR standpoint, it was just a bad nightmare of a season.
So is this going to be one of those fun things to ask you, Cody? Are you going to give him an A+?
A+ for his first name. But a D because he needs to play better defense. But I will say this, and I'm gonna ask all of you guys this: would you rather spend $8.5 million for Dumoulin CC, or was it like over 17 million for Nurse and Truba?
No, I wouldn't want either one of them right now. We can't afford them anyways.
No, I'm just saying you could be in worse spots. The Sharks are paying Nurse and Truba over $17 million combined. And I'm pretty sure their metrics are way worse than Dumoulin and CC's. And I'm saying Truba, the only reason he had good metrics is because of Lacombe.
So I mean, but now we're grading a guy based on his contract, and like, I wouldn't grade Ian Moore based on the fact that he has 3 years less on a contract than Cody Ceci, even though they're essentially the same player. Like,
yeah, unless Ceci.
There's another shot at the Ducks, everybody.
Hey, at least Ian Moore can play forward too. Okay.
Good for him.
Let's move on to Brandt Clark, and just because you guys just signed Mitikov to a similar contract, how would you say you thought Brandt Clark played last year, Cody? No pressure.
Well, first of all, Brandt Clark deserved that contract, and I'm gonna tell you this: Minchikov did not deserve that contract. So I'm be completely honest with that. I'd rather have Clark than Minty right now. I think Clark has shown that he should probably be a top pair right-hand shot defenseman, and he should be the number 1 power play quarterback for the Kings.
Well,
He's shown that.
He was by the end of the season for sure.
Yeah, I'm talking about full time, not just part of it. He should be full time. So, and he's your future for the defense. So I would give him an A.
Okay, an A from Cody. Let's go, Daryl.
Yeah, I would go with a B for Brandt. I thought Brandt did a couple of really good things defensively. I really liked the jump he took in his game, blocking shots, defending. I thought he got a lot stronger from the previous season. So great job by him. And when it comes to the offensive part of the game and being that number 1 quarterback on that number 1 unit, I think he's got to shoot the puck a little bit more, shoot the puck a little bit harder. I think this shot needs a little bit of work in order to be a quarterback on a top power play unit. He's got to be he's got to pose a dual threat as opposed to just being able to move the puck. And I think he's gotten stronger each year that he's played. And that'll be something that in the offseason he needs to continue to work on his skating, work on his strength. I think that'll contribute to his offense. When his offense comes around, and I think it will here in the next couple of years, I think the Kings are going to have the player that they drafted and hope they drafted a couple of years ago.
How about you, Jesse?
I give Brandt Clark an A. The statistic that I'm most obsessed with, and I clocked onto it, I don't know how far into the season, but Brandt Clark led the NHL in shots blocked at even strength. Like, yeah,
he was.
That's it. Like, there's no, like, I'm not gonna add any addendums or modifiers to that stat. Like, at even strength, Brandt Clark blocked 179 shots and did not kill penalties for the LA Kings. He finished top 10 in first assists amongst defensemen. He puts up points. He's And again, I say the same thing about Clark that I do about Cody Ceci. He's doing it all essentially with one hand tied behind his back, because while Quentin Byfield was never going to be allowed to step into Anze Kopitar's role, Brant Clark is not going to be allowed to step into Drew Doughty's role. Now, we have every year we get more and more rhetoric suggesting, well, maybe this is the year that time is split between the heir apparents and the franchise legends. Maybe this is the year with a brand new coach and a relatively new general manager and a internal power structure that has turned over the last 2 years. Maybe Brant Clark is paired with somebody, maybe Mikey Anderson and Brant Clark are a pair. Maybe Brant Clark pairs with somebody else. Maybe they take his training wheels off. But I just, Brant Clark to me has given them everything they've asked for and proven that he's more than capable of adapting his play style, his personality, everything. So a big A from me for Brant Clark.
Okay. What about you, Kevin?
Yeah, we're gonna have to go A with Brant Clark. He took the steps forward we wanted to see from him. We like Jesse mentioned, 5v5, the most block shots in the NHL, and if he was killing penalties, we probably wouldn't even need to add that qualifier on.
Right.
By
By like a margin, by the way. He's got sorry, Kevin.
No, absolutely.
He's at 179. Number 2 is 162. Number 3 is 158. Number 10 is 134. Like, he's more than 40 block shots ahead of 10 through 20. Like, it's
impressive.
Yeah.
That speaks to his intelligence on the ice. Yeah, all of that. And then we also don't have, like you mentioned, Jesse, that conversation. He's going to be like, we always hear about it. Is Byfield going to fill Anze Kopitar's position? Is he going to take over? He's always living in a shadow. We don't actually hear that too often about Brant Clark because he's just become his own player. He always expressed himself as his own player, and he continues to take all of these steps forward every single season to the point where we don't have to have that conversation. And look, under Laviolette, this year he put up a point every other game, 40 points, and he had like 30 assists or something. I think next year you could see him 50 to 60, hopefully, if he continues to improve the way he has. I'm not against him playing on the power or on the penalty kill either. I mean, that defense, defensively, he showed enough to me where I'd say I wouldn't be scared of it, at least anyways. He's at least earned that much trust and confidence from me for whatever that's worth. And it's an A for me. I mean, he's just been so exactly what you'd hope he'd be when he was drafted, right? He was taken high in the draft. We had big hopes from him, hopefully. And a lot of that is coming to fruition, thankfully. And honestly, he has the type of swagger we say he could eventually wear a letter on his shirt, I think.
Wow. High praise. I also give Brant Clark an A. He had 8 goals, 32 assists. He was a plus 11 on a team that wasn't plus. Plus minus wasn't our. We were a lot worse this last season than we were in the previous few seasons on that. And Jesse made a comment about taking the training wheels off. I felt like they held him back offensively. And I'm hoping that he's going to fly. Him and Byfield both are going to start flying this year because that's what it's going to take to get us into the playoffs and maybe even to a second round. I can't imagine us going any better than that right now with all the talent that's in the league. But it would surely nice to be a playoff team once again when nobody expects us to be. And nobody can be Anze Kopitar. I mean, he will be, if he is the 1C, he is kind of taking his place, but he can't play exactly like Anze Kopitar can. Nobody can. He was incredible. We robbed that draft when we got him. Everybody else except for who was Crosby went number 1. Kopi would have gone number 2 in a redraft by, I think, any manager would take him number 2 that year. So I give him an A also. Here's a player who played partially for the Kings, quite a few for the seasons. It's Philip Deneau. Let's go, Daryl.
I just think it was a disappointing year for Phil. I think that he had some discrepancies between he and the coaching staff, and I think he let it get the best of him on the ice. So I think he underachieved. Defensively a real solid player. Offensively, there wasn't enough there for him. So I give him a C minus.
C minus. How about you, Jesse?
I have to recuse myself from offering a grade for Phil Deneau. I cannot be objective about Phil Deneau. I like him too much personally. So
Okay.
whatever Daryl said, ×2 for me.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. Kevin?
I didn't go. I gave him an F, but that was because I didn't want to give a grade. I felt like there was no grade. He left in the middle of the season. He wore a letter on his sweater, and he left in the middle of the season. So there's no grade for me. So that's how I'm gonna grade him. He didn't produce this season, but he's done a lot for the Kings throughout the years, and he's also just just cool. We like Phil Deneau, right? So won't say anything other than that.
How can you not like Phil Deneau?
Yeah.
I mean, it was a disappointing season, but I don't think he was put in a place where he could succeed. So I gave him a C plus just because I wanted to give him a grade. I'm not going to go much into that because he's now a Canadian. So Cody, what about you?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
Okay. Okay. Here's. I think this is going to be a controversial one. Let's go, Drew Doughty. Who wants to tackle Drew first? Anybody want to volunteer?
I will.
Okay.
I gave Drew Doughty a B because it was his lowest points per game, lowest points per 60 in a full season. He's had lower points per 60, but they were in years where he missed, half the season with an injury or there was a lockout shortened season. So his offense wasn't there this year, but if you look at his defensive numbers, he's still just as effective as ever. And, it's not his fault that he is looked to, or maybe it is his fault, I don't know, but I'm choosing not to blame him for the organization looking to him to be the same offensive producer that he was, in his mid-20s or early 20s. So he only finishes with 23 points. But he's a +4. He kills penalties. He's out there playing, preposterously way too many minutes, which, again, not necessarily his fault. And when he's out there, he does a better job than most. And this is where I bring in the rest of the league. Like, if you look where he slots into the rest of the league, as far as goals against per 60, Corsi's expected goals against, etc., he's still incredibly effective defensively. So he's lost a portion of his game, which shouldn't come as a surprise to too many people, given his age. But he's still incredibly effective. So I gave him a B.
Okay. Kevin?
Yeah, I mean, I think the offensive production has definitely dipped a lot more than maybe I expected anyways, or maybe not. I don't know. But 23 minutes a night is what he averaged. That definitely needs to come down. But is that really relevant to the grade? Is the contract relevant to the grade I should give him? I don't know. We went with the C. I went with the C anyways. Not his best year. I mean, literally, as Jesse mentioned, his worst in terms of offensive production, including his rookie year where he actually played a significant amount of time, right? So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's tough to be too harsh on him. He's, someone that all of us have loved for many, many years. And he's like you guys mentioned, I mean, still out there killing penalties. Like I said, playing 23 minutes a night. And we'll just have to see what his role is going into the future. I mean, you would assume if he continues playing beyond this year, maybe, I mean, Brant Clark is definitely, absolutely, hopefully going to be playing a large share of that time, right? So we'll see what his role is going into the future, though. So C for now.
Okay, I'll go next. I agree with Jesse. He still plays good defense, but it was definitely a down year for him. A down year. I thought he was average at best, and so I gave him a C. But one thing is that he doesn't have a contract. He's probably playing for a contract this year. And usually what happens when people play for a contract? They step it up. So we'll see if he can step it up. If he has anything left in the tank. We'll see this year. I hope we still have a lot more in the tank for him. What about you, Daryl?
I think with Drew, I think you look at a player like him, you look at what he's done throughout his entire career, still an incredible hockey mind. The intelligence that he plays with, very similar to what Kopitar does in his position up front. He reads the game extremely well. Every night he's playing against the other team's top players, the McDavids, the McKinnons, and all those guys, game in and night out, game in and game out. And I still think he defends in a very good way. I think he needs to be used a little bit differently moving forward. He can't play the minutes that he did in the past. The offensive numbers, I think, are a reflection of the team that he was on. I think with a more offensive-minded attack from the team, I think you'll see his production increase. And just like Byfield looking to go in and step into into Kopitar's position, into that number one role. I think the same thing comes with Brant Clark. He's got to show, he's got to take it away from Doughty. And Doughty, I think that in some ways probably feeling that he hasn't seen that yet. So it's a good push for Clark to be able to go out there and take that number one position, and also for Doughty, who's playing for a contract this year, to establish that he's got years beyond this one, and I think he does. So I expect a big year out of him, but I give him a B, and I'll take him on my team any day.
What about you, Cody?
I'll give him a C plus, B minus. I'm right in between. Like, I feel like if you take away just a little bit of time away, he's on the older side, but if you just take that little bit of time away from him, maybe that might help his game out a little bit more. And maybe this year might be different because now he's not focusing on playing for Canada in the Olympics. He could just focus on just Kings. So maybe that might help his cause too. But I still don't want to see him with the puck on his stick in the offensive zone at any time. So I'd say, C plus, B minus.
Okay. Now let's go to Brian Dumoulin. A pickup, like we said before, we had Gavrikov and Spence, and now we have Dumoulin and Ceci. I felt Dumoulin was okay. He wasn't spectacular. He didn't do everything. I mean, he didn't necessarily hurt us a lot too, except for when him and Ceci at the start, they just didn't seem to be able to mesh to cover right. So, but I gave Brian a C. Let's go to you, Cody.
Same. I think it's just a C. I liked his time with the Ducks. I felt like he was one of the few consistent defensemen with the Ducks, but there was a little bit a different Dumoulin this year than it was with the Ducks. But I think there was still more to come from Dumoulin than what I saw before. So I'd give him a C.
How about you, Jesse?
Yeah, I give him a C, and it's tough because full disclosure, first of all, part of it is just that I still don't know what Cody Ceci and Brian Dumoulin look like, their faces. Like, I'm so used to the guys that have been on the team for years that this last year, the new crop of players, I just never learned what they look like. So I don't have like a picture in my head of Brian Dumoulin, and I never got used to the new numbers. And he's out there on the third pair, and he's not really doing a lot of special team stuff. So I just didn't really think that much about Brian Dumoulin, which I suppose is good because it means he wasn't out there screwing up a lot. But again, he's 6'4", 200 and something. He's just 6'4", 215 pounds, brought in ostensibly to bring an element that the Kings lacked and didn't bring it. He wasn't laying the body. He wasn't laying down and blocking shots. He wasn't killing penalties. He was better than Cody Ceci, and I think a lot of people sort of want him to be the silver lining on the air. Like, well, he was pretty good. And I'm like, he was fine. He was fine. I give him a C because I didn't see him or think about him. Sorry, Brian.
Okay. What about you, Daryl?
I would go with a C plus for Brian. I think he had a few games that he showed that there was a little bit more there. I think a new coaching staff, a new approach, a new system will get a little bit more offense out of his game. I think he was brought on to bring some experience back in the blue line. The Kings felt that they lacked that the year before. And I think it's tough to judge guys like Ceci and Dumoulin after coming off a year the Kings had before when they had 105 points or whatever it was the year before, and then a very subpar year this year that I think gets pointed at guys at the newcomers. I think they take a lot of the brunt of that. So I expect him to be real solid. I think the less noticed he is in a game, the more effective he is, and I think he'll be able to provide the minutes that they need in critical situations, eat up some good ice time, and use his experience to his advantage.
Kevin?
Yeah, so I gave him, I mean, officially voted a DL somewhere between like a C minus D plus because for me, I mean, he did come in to replace Gavrikov, and perhaps it's not fair to grade him based on what Gavrikov was, considering he is literally a different player. However, he did come in to replace him, and I thought he would be at least like 80, 90-ish% of the way to replacing a Gavrikov. And for me, when you have to be broken up, that pairing of him and CC within just a few games, like you guys had mentioned earlier, it's hard for me to say that he lived up to expectations if C is average. And for me, he was just below that. So hopefully a bounce back year for him. That's where I'm at.
Okay. Boy, we're on a kind of a whole defenseman here, 3 in a row now. Let's go with Joel Edmondson. Let's go with Jesse.
I give Joel Edmondson the strongest B I can. Joel Edmondson had career highs in games, assists, and points. He was a plus 14. He does have a big body and does play with his big body. But the reality is he's also being carried a lot by Brandt Clarke. Like, he's doing what he needs to do, and he is plus 14, which is higher than Brandt Clarke's. But if you look at the numbers of Edmondson away from Clarke versus Edmondson with Clarke, it's pretty clear Clarke is by far the better player. And, you know, there's some argument to be made about Edmondson's defensive responsibility and veteran experience rubbing off on Brandt Clarke over the last few years, but it's tough for me to grade him fully because he's one of the few guys on the team where I look at him and I go like, okay, his role is, yes, it's second pair defenseman. Yes, it's, big shot, big body, etc. But like, he's Brandt Clarke's training wheels. That's it. And I don't think the organization has been particularly coy about it. I am using a phrase that they haven't, but I mean, that's sort of pretty straightforwardly the way his role has been described. So I give him a B. I would have given him an A, but again, he is being carried at times by Brandt Clarke. So I give him a B. He's doing his job. He's doing it very well. Honestly, way better than I expected when they first brought him in, right? He was one of the big silver linings in his first year as a King, and he continues to do the job asked of him.
Yeah, he was one of the better plus-minus guys, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, and he probably was carried offensively a little bit with Clarke because he was there with him. I also gave him a B on that aspect. Kevin, what do you think of Joel Edmondson?
Yeah, Joel Edmondson, we also a B, just like you guys. I think he's, maybe propped up by Brandt Clarke a little bit, but that being said, we can only judge him based on what he did show us, and that's what he showed us, was that he was at least worthy of a B. A good season from him. Even had some, I don't want to say offensive flair, it was just some really freaking hard slap shots, but he did have those, and so worthy of some praise there. Contributed a bit offensively, held up Brandt Clarke held him up. Maybe it was the training wheels, like Jesse said. Either way, a good year from Joel Edmondson, I think.
Okay, Daryl.
Yeah, with Edmondson, I would go B plus to an A minus. Unlike you guys that think that Brandt Clarke held him up, I think he is one that really contributes why Brandt Clarke has grown the way he has. I don't think anybody gives him enough credit. That has allowed Brandt Clarke to play with the comfort, knowing that he's got that security blanket in Edmondson that is on the ice to be able to help him out, especially in the defensive zone. Constantly talking to him both on and off the ice, and Brandt's told us that numerous times over the years that they've been together. And again, I think we undervalue what Joel Edmondson brings to the table. So I give him a B plus or an A minus.
Cody?
A B as well from me.
Quick and easy. Now to the injured man, Kevin Fiala. Boy, I think we really missed him this last season. Let's go with Kevin.
Yeah, I love Kevin Fiala. He's a a wonderful hockey player to watch. He is so fun to watch, right? Provided so much of those like, very few exciting moments early on in the season of Kings hockey. But Kevin Fiala gave us some of those, especially when he was in that line with Turcotte and Kuzmenko. They all played really well together. Really enjoyed seeing him until that really unfortunate injury for him. I gave him a C just because he wasn't available after that. It's a little hard to, and because I feel like we really missed him, and maybe that does mean he deserves a better grade because I'm saying we missed his presence. However, we did miss his presence. C.
Okay, Jesse.
I'd like to go last.
Okay, Daryl.
I'm going to go with a B plus. I think Kevin's a great asset to this hockey club. He's got some skills that nobody else on the team have in their arsenal. I think we're going to see the best of his game come out with the coaching change. I think he'll be used in a different way. I think having a guy like Zuccarello come into the lineup, and we haven't seen him play with Panarin yet. He's going to be dynamic on the power play as he already was. He was leading the team in power play points last year at the time of his injury. So B plus, and look for a big year coming from Kevin.
Okay, I'll go next. I think we sorely missed him. I think we would have been an easy playoff team with him. I gave him a B plus also, and I agree with you, Daryl. With the coaching change, some of these offensive guys are going to have even bigger numbers because they're going to play to their offensive talents. Cody, what do you have for Fiala?
A B plus as well. Someone, I don't know what it is. He likes to play against the Ducks. I've noticed. I feel like he's always in that one spot and just finds it when he gets the puck in that one spot. It's always a goal. And I don't know if he was the player that had the breakaway that Beckett stopped him, and then the Ducks scored in overtime. I think it was Fiala.
That was an overtime one, yeah.
Yeah, but there was nothing Fiala could really do much about that one. That was just a great play on Beckett, surprisingly.
Remember, we're talking Kings today.
No, I know, but I'm just saying. Hey, I did say he's a duck killer first, but I like the way he plays, and I remember when he was on the trade block, it's someone I wanted the Ducks to go and get. It wasn't the right time for us, but he's looked good as a Kings player since he's been here. So I'd say B plus.
All right, Jesse. We're all waiting to hear your opinion.
I'm going against the grain on all of you. I give Kevin Fiala a D. I don't enjoy watching Kevin Fiala play hockey at all. He was a minus 11 on the team, which was the worst amongst the team for a team that, the overall team didn't have I think a positive goal differential. I don't remember what it was, but overall on the team last year, I think you had Kopitar and Edmondson, Kempe and Clark, all double digits positives. Panarin, Anderson, Doughty, Deneau, Laferriere, Booth, Armia, all positives. A bunch of guys at evens. Then a bunch of guys at single-digit negatives. The only two players with double-digit negatives were Cody Ceci and Kevin Fiala. Kevin Fiala's a minus 11 despite scoring 40 points. He got hurt, so he wasn't there during the rest of the season. I know a lot of people think the team would have benefited from him. I'm not entirely sure that's true. I think it might have been a blessing in disguise. I'm not the world's biggest fan of watching him play hockey. I didn't think he was that effective this season. And I thought he contributed to other players not playing particularly well this season.
Okay. Appreciate that. Let's go to Warren Fogle. Kevin.
Well, I went with a D. I mean, this is a theme again. If they didn't play the whole season, it's hard for me to give them much higher than, a C. They didn't participate. I feel like if you don't show up for class, you're not going to get at least the C. So we went with, also wasn't really scoring too much. For a while, it looked like, wow, the Kings have like a great third line there, and he just wasn't producing there when he was there with Moore and Deneau to start the season off. But he did give us one funny moment, the one where he lost his skate blade and he's trying to crawl back, and Clark was trying to yank him back on with the stick, if anyone remembers that. So a D for Warren Fogle.
Okay, Cody, we'll go to you.
D as well. Maybe D minus just because it seemed like he just was not himself at all this whole season for you guys. And once he got to Ottawa, I felt like he found his game a little bit more. But I I don't know. Just how do you? I don't understand how you go from, a 20. What he scored 20 goals the season before, right?
24, I think.
Yeah, and then you go, and then he could barely even get any points, and the team didn't change that much. Same coach, so I don't know what the big difference was, but I'd say D minus.
Yeah, I was shocked. I mean, because he had 2 years in a row had his highest point scoring, broke the record 2 years in a row, and then he couldn't even score. That was a severe disappointment. Then he was just getting benched if he wasn't hurt, and I gave him a D. How about you, Jesse?
Full disclosure, I had not prepared anything because he didn't play the full season. But looking at his last season compared to this season, I think it's fair to say just on the regression offensively, I think it's fair to say give him a D because he was such a bright spot in his first season coming in. He comes in, he scores 24 goals, 22 assists, 46 points. He's a plus 36. Last year in 47 games, he has 9 points and he's a -6. I mean, that's just a huge regression. And there were obviously things going on with the construction of the roster and how different things were impacting one another. And obviously he leaves and Deneau leaves and Gavrikov and Spence and a few other players I'm sure I'm blanking on. Something was going on, who knows what, but yeah, he didn't hold up his end of the bargain.
Daryl?
Yeah, I'll give him a C. I think after establishing a career high the year before in goals points that, were we to expect that again? Probably not, but I don't think he was used, the way that he was used the year before. I think things fell out between he and the coaching staff, and because of that, Kings lost out on the production of him, and he ends up getting moved out. So I would give him a C.
Perfect. All right. On to Anton Forsberg. Cody.
A. I mean, no one expected him to take over as a starting goalie, and honestly, he probably was one of your best players in the playoffs. I mean, against a high-powered offense like Avalanche, you can't say any of those losses were really his fault. And if you're going off of expectations, you thought he's going to be a backup to Kemper, who just had a Vezina finalist year, and then now he's taken over the net for him. So I'd say A for me.
Okay, I gave him a B plus, especially for the end of the year, and I thought he was great against the Avalanche. That was just the highest scoring team in hockey, and it wasn't fair. It wasn't even a fair fight, I don't think. So I gave him a B plus. How about you, Jesse?
This is I don't know how I missed it, but somehow I didn't actually write down grades for either goalies. But I think giving him an A is a solid choice, and it's a little bit of the way they grade Olympic like floor routines and like rhythmic gymnastics and stuff, where you have to grade difficulty of the routine and also how well they accomplished it. Anton Forsberg was brought in to be a backup goalie, and at the end of the year he was called upon to be the starter, and he not only dragged the team kicking and screaming across the finish line, but then, as previously mentioned, also kept them in games in the playoffs when it would have been forgiven if the team had gotten their head caved in the playoffs and the sweep had been a lot more lopsided than it was. I don't think anybody would be staring daggers at Anton Forsberg, but unironically, there were comparisons to the job that Jonathan Quick did in 2018 against the Golden Knights in the playoffs, which was also a first round sweep. So yeah, I give Forsberg an A.
Okay. How about you, Daryl?
Yeah, I give Forsberg a B plus. I think he's one of the guys that maybe overachieved as to expectations. I think he's also a player that thrived under the Kings' strong defensive play. He stepped up and did a great job to close out the season. So I give him a B plus to an A minus.
Okay. And Kevin?
I'm in line with you guys. B plus for me. Forsberg, I feel like maybe my memory doesn't serve me correctly. Started off maybe a little shaky to get going, but as soon as Kemper started to not play as well, Forsberg immediately stepped up and claimed that spot. And again, a Vezina finalist the year before, he's taken over that starting position for him. That's definitely playing above expectations. And listen, I know it sounds like, hey, I'm that fan where it's the sweep really wasn't as bad if you actually watch the game. But it wasn't thanks to Anton Forsberg when you did watch the games. He was that good. And B is totally fair for me. Even an A is fine.
Okay. So let's go on to our fourth line center, Hellenius.
I'm going to turn my camera off for a second, guys. I'll be right back.
Okay. How about you, Daryl?
I think with Hellenius, I think, the previous year, we saw Hellenius, the size definitely, had a big impact on the game, his willingness to go in and stand up for his teammates. I would probably give him a C plus. I think he's limited as to what the Kings can expect to get out of him. I think he's playing in his role, but I thought he just had himself, a solid year. And the Kings, when you look at the teams that they're playing against, and you're going to match up in the playoffs, the Kings need more from that position. So that's what I'll give them.
Okay. What about you, Kevin?
Yeah, I went with a B there. I agree with you, Daryl. I think ideally we eventually haven't seen an upgrade in that position. However, based on expectations, based on what we saw, and that fourth line for a while when he was playing with Malott and Ward was actually pretty awesome. And for that, and he also was coming into the season. We had every year we do this where we debate what the line combinations may or may not be. But last year that wasn't really that prevalent of a debate, and that was the only position where maybe you could say this is the fourth line center going to be Turcotte, is it going to be Hellenius by the end of the season? Well, Hellenius was playing on, or Turcotte was playing on the wing with on Lawton's wing. I feel like towards the end of the season when he was playing, right? So Hellenius did win that battle in the end. A B for me.
What about you, Jesse?
I'll give him a B minus. And again, a lot of this has to do with the fact that I think he's another one of those players starting the season with his hand tied behind his back. At the end of the 24-25 season, Hellenius was the fourth line player, the fourth line center. Rob Blake came out at the trade deadline in 2025 and sort of laid out his prescription for what the roster should look like. He said, these are going to be the pairs. Hellenius is going to be the fourth line center. He hadn't necessarily been locked in at that spot all through that season. He was down the stretch. He was in the playoffs. And then Rob Blake leaves. Ken Holland comes in, and suddenly Ken Holland starts talking about Alex Turcotte as being the fourth line center. So he starts the season at the fourth line center. But again, by the end of the season, it was Ward, Malott, and Hellenius. And again, Hellenius did exactly what was asked of him. He plays exactly the way you expect him and want him to play. He was a second round pick, and maybe Daryl remembers it differently than I do, but I seem to recall that the Kings traded up to get him, and that he was sort of seen as a third line center, less than a fourth line center. So it's a little disappointing that he hasn't sort of made that leap up to third line or really reliable penalty killing minutes. But in the role he's currently given, I think he excels. So I'll give him a B minus.
Okay. Cody?
B. Short and sweet.
Okay. I gave him a C plus. I thought he did an adequate job for what he was doing. I thought a lot of these guys, I feel like, I don't know if it was just the coaching style or whatever. I've heard a lot of terms like their hands behind their back. I think Jesse shared that quite a few times. And I think a lot of them were not allowed to be who they are. And I think that hurts a player and how they play. Unfortunately, not everybody can play to the style they want to play because you have to meet the team. Because it's always, you don't win without it being a team. So I gave him a C plus. Let's go on to Adrian Kempe. Who wants to start off with Adrian Kempe?
I'll take Adrian Kempe.
Sorry, go ahead, Daryl.
Yeah, I think Adrian Kempe, I give him a B plus, A minus. He's a player that you can use in every position out there. He's probably one of the best deals in the league, dollar for dollar on his contract. The Kings are fortunate enough to have him tied up for a long term. He's a leader. He's a voice in the locker room. I think he's one that leads by example on the ice. And again, expect a big year coming from him and more offense coming out of his game as well with the new systems and some of the additions that were made.
Okay, Jesse?
I give him an A because despite all of the stuff happening in the locker room and roles changing and lines changing and coach changes and who's going to play with who, etc. He still winds up with 36 goals, 73 points, which I think is the exact same points as he had last season. I think he had one more goal and one fewer assist, but he's still Adrian Kempe. He still gets it done despite all of the shifting expectations. And, he played, I don't know how many games it was that he played before the new contract was signed, but it was significant, right? Like it was a third of the season at least. Even with all that looming over him, he's still, he was getting it done in overtime. He was going out there and scoring goals and being Adrian Kempe. So I give him an A.
Yeah, I went ahead and gave him a B because I'm measuring this against expectations, and to be honest, I even felt weird giving him a B. I expected this from him. He is that good, and so you could even say a C. This is exactly what I expected from him. That being said, I didn't expect those overtime winners. He stepped up even more than he probably did in the past, and that's saying a lot considering who he is. And maybe that level of production being the same as the previous season, like you mentioned, Jesse, maybe that points to him actually being even better and probably deserving of a higher grade because he did play above expectations, because no one really played that well on this team, at least in terms of goal scoring production. So B for me, but A is fine too. He definitely is an A-level player in the league.
Okay, Cody?
I'd give him an A, especially since that one celebration he did against Dallas where he did the horns down. I thought that was hilarious. And also, I just learned this year on why he chose the number 9.
Yes,
I know Kevin knows the story too. It's a soccer related one. So I like the story. I just don't like the team, that his Premier League team, but I like Kempe, so it's an A for me.
How can you not give Adrian Kempe an A?
Yeah, Kevin
he does everything.
Shame.
He's not great at face-offs. That's about his only.
Yeah.
He's a winger.
He may not be this year.
Yeah,
Who
we'll
knows?
see.
I hope they leave him at wing. I don't want to see.
Carlson's a center and he sucks at face-offs. So
well, anyways, but Kempe, I can't believe anybody didn't give him an A. I would give him an A. Yeah, well, Kevin's not coming on the show again.
Understandable.
Okay, let's go to the captain. I'm going to go first. I don't even care if he scored a point this year. I love this guy. First Kings jersey I ever owned was a Kopitar jersey, and I gave Andrzej Kopitar a A. So let's go Kevin.
Yeah, let's not be objective with this one. We'll play to the home crowd. Yeah, an A for of course, an A for Andrzej Kopitar. Plus 19 by considerable. He has a considerable lead in that category by 5 actually. So we got to give him credit there. We give him his flowers, as they say nowadays. The greatest king in the history of the LA Kings is Andrzej Kopitar, an A.
All right, Cody.
It has to be an A. One of the classiest guys in the game. Someone like, it's funny, like he's not the fastest, but he'll still beat you no matter what. And God, I just hated seeing him in the face-offs against anyone because most of the time he's winning them. But it just makes you wonder if, and I think it was Jeff Merrick said this. Do you think if him and Priest Bergeron switch places that, Andrzej Kopitar is higher than Bergeron is just because of where they played? And I think Kopitar is easily higher than Bergeron in my book.
That's high praise from a Ducks fan.
It's hard to go against a guy like Kopitar. He's someone that you just can't hate, even as a Ducks fan.
You can't say anything bad about Kopi at my house. No. You're getting kicked out if you do. How about you, Jesse?
Well, I don't live there anymore, so here we go.
Do you want me to be objective, or do you want me to just rave about how important he's been to the LA Kings in his career?
You can. This is your grade for him. However you want to.
All right. Well, then I'm going to cheat and give 2 grades the way you did, Gary.
Okay.
Prior to the acquisition of Artemi Panarin, I'm going to give him a B, because there were injuries and the offense was down, and no fault of his own. He got old, but he was still incredibly effective defensively. He's still right. His He's a little bit like that scene in Ted Lasso. Sorry to constantly reference Ted Lasso, but where Nate is talking about Roy Kent. Anze Kopitar's speed and strength were never the best parts of his game. It was always his smarts. And that didn't go away. But once Artemi Panarin did come to LA, I give him an A, because the the difference, that just the visceral difference that I experienced in watching Anze Kopitar play hockey before Artemi Panarin got there versus after Artemi Panarin got there. I'm trying very quickly to look at some statistics. So sorry while I vamp while my laptop tries to load the statistics. But I mean, like, I think he had 36 points on the season, 38 points in 67 games. But after March 7th, Anze Kopitar had 23 points.
Yeah.
Or no, sorry, hold on, it didn't do the dates. Hold on, sorry, that's not correct. Hold on, sorry, this is important to me. I don't know why, but trade deadline was, I think, March 7th, right?
6th.
March 6th. Okay, well, we'll just do that. All right, all strength. Sorry, hold on.
And never apologize for Ted Lasso references on this show.
Well, I'm apologizing for the delay, and for some reason my laptop won't do the dates. Anyway, regardless, I just thought he looked like he was having fun and was engaged and was the old Anze Kopitar with Artemi Panarin on his wing. So I give a split grade a B/A.
You got it. How about you, Daryl?
I give Anze an A, A+. One of the most cerebral players I've seen in the game, and one of the most consistent players. And he makes everybody that he plays with a better player, the utmost respect from his opponents and his teammates, coaches that coach against him. Never heard a bad word spoken about Anze Kopitar. Clearly an A, and one of the greatest Kings ever.
Amen. Totally agree with you. Let's go on to Darcy Kemper. Cody.
I'm gonna say B-. It probably would have been higher if he. I know, look, coming back from an injury is tough and everything, and he did start off the season really well, but I feel like he kind of just fell from there. So I would say B-.
Okay, Kevin.
Yeah, it's hard for me to give him anything higher than a C. He was playing actually very well until the Rantanen situation and his injury, and we just never saw him recover, right? And it was always going to be probably an impossible task to replicate a Vezina season at his age. However, he was pretty close to that. He was playing really, really dang well to start off the season, and it's just unfortunate how that went. So C, and hopefully it looks like he'll be back this year. I don't know what the goaltender situation is going to be because there's just so many bodies there at the moment, but hopefully we see him back to his best, and he definitely clearly has shown that he has the ability to be that great. So C for Darcy for now.
Okay, I gave him a C+. I know injuries played a big part of while he slid down as far as he did, and actually lost his starting position. But I don't know if he's going to make that comeback and be the player again. I hope he would be, because that was a fun season the year before. He held the team upon his shoulders, I thought, a lot of that season, and I gave him a C+. What about you, Daryl?
I give him a B+. I think he's one of the guys that, again, thrives under the Kings structure. I think this past season, being in an Olympic year with the compressed schedule, really played against him, especially, age and as much as he played the year before. So I expect him to bounce back. He's a hard worker in practice. I love his approach to the game. And I think he'll have a little bit more of a bounce back year this year, get back to what the Kings need to get from him. He's going to be pushed by not only Forsberg, but by the young guys coming to camp. And I think that's going to be bring the best out of him. I don't think they're going to be able to use him as much as they used him a couple of years ago. But I would say that probably for 95% of the goaltenders across the league, that you're going to see the games get spread out a little bit more between two goaltenders.
Jesse?
I have to give it an incomplete because before the Rantanen incident, he was having a great season. Maybe great's too strong a word, but he was having a really strong follow-up season to a phenomenal year in 24-25 when he was a Vezina finalist. And then after the Rantanen hit, he was just a different guy. And at the end of the year, they come back from the Olympic break, and the Kings mishandle the coaching turnover with the timing of it, and the end result is that he loses his starting spot to Anton Forsberg. And I just don't know how much of it is on Darcy Kemper's shoulders, but there's a really clear point of delineation in the season where like it's December 16th, pre-December 16th and post-December 16th. And I don't know what to make of it. I don't know what to do about it. So I give it an incomplete.
Okay. I can accept that. And then let's move on to Andrei Kuzmenko. And I gave him a C, but he was hurt so much. It really wasn't a good representation for him for a season because he got hurt and missed so much time. But I gave him a C. How about you, Cody?
With Kuzmenko, I'd give him a C as well. I don't really have much to add on that.
How about you, Daryl?
Yeah, I would probably say a C would be fair. I think because of the amount of games that he missed with the injury and the impact that they needed to have from him offensively wasn't there. So I think C is a fair assessment for the limited time he played.
And you, Jesse?
Sorry, I'm doing another stat lookup. I feel inclined to give it another incomplete because when he was acquired at the trade deadline last year, it was Kempe, Kopitar, and Kuzmenko, and I very strongly felt at the time that he might have been one of the best trade deadline pickups the Kings had ever had. Like he came over and he instantly started putting up points, and he sort of was very effective. And then last season, you look at where he lined up in the lineup. He spent 144 minutes with Fiala and Turcotte, which is, is fine, I suppose. He played 96 minutes with Kopitar and Kempe, 35 minutes with Fiala and Byfield, 29 minutes with Moore and Kopitar, 26 minutes with Deneau and Moore. Like that was never gonna. I don't know. I just feel like he's the kind of guy where when they had a perfectly balanced machine, he could be fit in and play a very specific role. But when asked to be flexible or fit into spots that he's not necessarily well suited for, yeah, you don't get a lot from him. But I think when you're grading, I don't know, for me, when you grade a player, a part of what the grade has to be is like, well, what is he capable of? And Andrei Kuzmenko, I think, is the type of player that you add to a perfectly balanced machine, not the kind of, Swiss Army knife piece that you can move around to try and create that balance. So I give it an incomplete, which feels like a cop-out, but
It's okay. Kevin?
Yeah, I get that same feeling. It's almost like a very specific sort of puzzle piece and trying to fit him in where the Kings need something much more malleable than what Kuzmenko is. And I mean, that was what his usage was this past season, right? He was used all over the lineup. And you referenced that, Jesse, right? All these different line combinations he played with. The one that I guess he did play the most time with, I thought he was the best with anyways, was that Turcotte and Fiala line. They came together really well at a period where the Kings needed some offense. Then of course, I mean, there were injuries that didn't stay together too long. And because of that, it's also hard to give him too high of a grade. He didn't play as much as we probably hoped he would, but he did significantly improve, I think, from where he started because there was just zero production to start the year. And then once that line with Turcotte and Fiala formed, it did start to pick up for sure. All of that being said, Kuzmenko is a favorite in our household. I know me and my girlfriend she would hate it if I gave him anything lower than a B, so we'll give him a B.
Significant other pressure, huh? Let's go on to Alex Laferriere. Jesse.
I give Alex Laferriere a B. He's another one of those players that was asked to do a lot more than would have been expected. He had to play center. He was swapping lines constantly, and he got it done. He scored he had 21 points, which was, I believe, an increase on the previous season. 21 points, 23 assists, 44 points, +3. Yeah, I mean, Alex Laferriere is one of those guys where I think he gets the positive side of the emotional coin that Cody Ceci gets the negative side of, which is like, I like Alex Laferriere just fine. I'm not entirely sure why I'm being asked to believe that he is some sort of prodigy hockey player, primordial, perfect, platonic hockey player. Like, he's a very, very good hockey player, but I give him a B.
Daryl?
I think, Alex did a really good job, had another solid year, contributes in a lot of different ways. I think it's time in his career now, and I think we'll probably see it'll get established now that he'll get himself a defined role as to where he fits in the lineup. And I think when he does that, he'll be able to excel under that role. So I'll give him a B+.
Yeah, I think LaFerriere, he's very likable anyways, right? He's the kind of guy you want to root for. At least the way I perceive him is like he's almost like an everyman, hardworking kind of guy, and it makes you want to really pull for him. At least that's the way I view him. And I think with a more defined role, like you mentioned, Daryl, we'll see him begin to take even more steps forward. I mean, 20 goals is nothing to. I mean, that's not bad at all, right? And maybe now we'll see him maybe as the center. I don't know. He did spend some time playing center this season. I mean, he held his own there for sure. I don't think he was any, in my opinion, I don't know if he was any worse when he played there than when he was on the wing. And that's definitely a compliment to him because he had never played that position at this level. Alex LaFerriere, I don't know what he will be on this team this year. Again, could be a center, could be playing on the wing. Is he a top six guy? Is he a middle six guy? Is he a third line guy on an absolutely elite team? Is he a second line guy on a team in the mushy middle? Like a lot of people might think the Kings are this year. I don't know, but a B for me.
Cody?
I would say B+. I mean, he's normally a winger, but I believe he was playing some center, this year, and it's not an easy thing to be a winger going in, and he's a young guy, and to start playing NHL center minutes, top six center minutes too. That's not easy. So I'd say B+ for me.
Now, I gave him also a B+, and he's a guy I think who is, exceeded his expectations of what they thought he might be. I think he was a third round pick. I don't think anybody thought he would do what he's doing now, and I don't know if he's going to be one of those guys that can still take another step, or we're getting to that peak of what his career is. I would hope there's more. Because, like Jesse said, who doesn't like him? Everybody, except for opponents, of course. They don't want to play against him because he plays hard. I love to watch him play. He is one of my favorites to watch play. So I gave him a B+. Now, we got Scott Lawton, who only played a few games with the Kings, guys. If we want to give quick grades on some of these guys who didn't play as much, we can do that if you like. Get this moving a little quicker. Does anybody want to jump in on Scott Lawton, or do we want to pass on to?
Yeah, I'll go on Scott. I think he brought more than expected. I think he became a great teammate because of that. He was rewarded with a contract, so I give him a B+.
Okay. Kevin, you want to say anything about that, or
B? He was a good locker room guy, good glue guy, scored some goals, cat dad. He did it all. So okay. Yeah. Glad to see him back.
Cody?
B.
Jesse?
I'm going to give him a C, and I want to stress as hard as I can. The explanation for why is because he was fine. Okay. I don't have anything wrong with what he did, but he was fine.
I liked him. I gave him a B+. Let's move on to Jeff Malott then. And he played most of the seasons with the Kings. Let's go to Cody.
Wow, gee, I wonder why. I mean, B-, C+. I mean, he just goes out there, does what he needs to do. I mean, I didn't hear any really bad things about him, and even on Twitter when the Ducks signed Malott, a lot of Kings fans on Twitter were even saying Ducks fans are going to love him. So I'm excited to see him what he does this year, but I would say B-, C+.
I gave him a C. I thought he did okay. He plays hard. What about you, Kevin?
B. That Ward, Malott, Hellenius fourth line was at periods a bright spot in the Kings season. I liked him a lot. It'll just be sad to see him fight a Kings player for the Ducks if that ever happens.
What's gonna happen?
Hope he loses.
Yeah.
Fortunately for him, the Kings don't have anybody to fight, so he'll be fine.
Perry versus Malott.
Not gonna happen.
I'm sorry, that fight will finish so fast. And not in
Daryl?
Perry's favor.
No,
Daryl,
Perry's not an idiot. That fight's not happening.
Yeah.
No,
I know that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think with Malat, he was well liked by his teammates. I still think he's trying to establish his role, what his role is, and what type of player he wants to be in the National Hockey League after scoring some goals at the American Hockey League level. Still not sure if he knows exactly who he is, but really nice kid, and I think he's going to do well down in Anaheim. So I'm going to give him a C plus to a B minus.
Okay.
Or pardon me. A B minus yeah, I'll give him a B minus there.
okay. And Jesse.
Same with Lawton. I'll give him a C. He was fine. I got no beef with Jeff Malott. He's a very nice guy. He seems well liked in the locker room. He was always perfectly willing to speak to the media and, expansive and a big smile on his face and happy to be there and did what was asked of him. But at the end of the day, as a Kings fan for however many decades, I've seen a million Jeff Malotts. He's fine. I give him a C.
Okay, now we're on to Trevor Moore. I'll go first. I thought he had some good games, but I was just disappointed. Ever since he scored 30 goals, I think a lot more expectations were put on his shoulders, and I just don't think he's lived up to it yet. So I gave him a C minus.
I'm going to give him a B. I think that Trevor's one that needs to get consistent wingers, and I think that's going to be established with the new coaching staff. I don't think they're going to change line mates every time they step on the ice, and I think that's something that'll go to his strength because he's got a quick release on the shot, a good penalty killer, and I think the Kings will definitely be able to get more out of him offensively next year.
That sounds really good. What about you, Jesse?
This is another one that's going to sound like a cop-out. I'm going to give it an incomplete. I'm going to echo what Daryl said. When Todd McClellan was talking about Trevor Moore a few years ago, shortly after they put that Deneau, Arvidsson, and Moore line together, McClellan talked about the importance of finding Trevor Moore a home. And it took them a few years to find him a home, right? When they got him from Toronto in that trade. His talent was evident, but I'm not sure they knew what to do with him. He was a third liner, he was a fourth liner, he was a second liner. What are we going to do with this kid? They put that line together, it clicked, and he looked great on it. That line stopped being as effective. They started breaking it up. Arvidsson started getting injuries. Then he left in free agency. Then Deneau demanded the trade. And now we're sort of back with Trevor Moore trying to kind of needing to find a home. I think I know what the line is going to look like this year. I think I know what the most effective use of Trevor Moore is. But having said that, I really like Trevor Moore as a personality, as a person. Cody, we lost Cody. I like what Trevor Moore brings as a person, so I'm going to give it an incomplete, but I'm leaning towards a good grade for Trevor. I really like Trevor Moore as a player and a person.
Okay. Kevin?
I went C with Trevor Moore. I think he has more to give than what we saw this year. Not saying he didn't give some. I mean, there are periods of time where he looked like he could potentially be great. It just didn't seem to all string together like a lot of players on the Kings and like the Kings in general. This happened many times throughout the season. Just couldn't seem to get it going. They were starting to tread water, and then that was about it. They didn't get going much further than that. And that was more for a lot of the season. I remember one really nice overtime winner that he had. On paper anyways, in my head anyways, I see him as a really high-end third-line winger, and maybe we do see some sort of combination there, like the Arvidsson Deneau Moore line again, where he just gets it going again. And I have an idea in my head on what I'd like to see. Maybe we see that actually come to fruition in reality and see the best Trevor Moore, right? We were all holding out hope that he's that 30-goal scorer once again.
I think you need to let go of that hope, by the way.
No, but yeah, he definitely can. I think there's another gear than what we saw last year anyways.
Cody's back. You want to give a grade to Trevor Moore, Cody?
So all I heard was you want more from Moore. That's all I heard.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Okay.
But C.
Okay. Let's move on to Panarin. Let's go Jesse on that one.
This is that plus that I was hiding. I give Artemi Panarin an A+. And I do that fully aware of the criticisms that could reasonably be laid at his feet as a player. He is not the world's most stalwart defender. I don't care. He scored 27 points in 26 games. I don't think the Kings have ever had a winger like Artemi Panarin. I'm not going to go so far as to say he's the best winger they've ever had. I'm not interested in comparisons to some of the great wingers in Kings history. I will simply say I don't think they've ever had a player like Artemi Panarin in terms of playing that style at that spot. They've had centers who play the way he does off the wing, but I don't know that they've ever had a winger who is as offensively talented the way he is. He was so much fun to watch. It was so much better than expected. I said last year I think Andrei Kuzmenko might have been the best trade deadline acquisition. Artemi Panarin blew it out of the water. Big A+ for Artemi Panarin.
Okay. Daryl?
I'll go with an A for Panarin. I thought he came as advertised. He brings an element that the Kings desperately needed with his hockey IQ, and he's one guy that makes everybody better, and I can't wait to see him on the ice with Kevin Fiala on the power play.
Yeah, me too. Kevin?
Yeah, it's hard not to give him an A. I was sort of leaning towards B just because I almost expected this from him. He is that good that I expected this in a way from him, but also hard not to give him an A. He's a point per game player on this LA Kings team. How can you not give him an A? And also just aesthetically, this is just it's beautiful. It's lovely to watch. Jesse said we've never really had this sort of player. Getting to see this kind of player every single week, 3 times a week, however many times a week that we get to see the Kings play. It's lovely, and it's going to be amazing to see a full season of Artemi Panarin. A.
Cody?
A. He makes me wonder that maybe if it's consistent play time with Byfield, maybe he's the one that could help unlock Byfield, especially with a more offensive friendly coach too.
Okay.
I see Jesse's nodding, so I guess I'm wrong.
I'm shaking my head no, actually. I don't think that's going to be a pair, personally.
I'm just saying, if I just know because that's what he's always done his whole career. He's usually helped a lot of players, get bigger contracts, and he's been really good everywhere he's gone. So I'm just saying, if they are a pair, I think he can really help unlock Byfield. So it's A for me.
Okay. Let's go to Alex Turcotte.
Are we just going to skip Corey Perry?
Yeah, he got traded.
No. I want a grade for this one. I want a T for Trader. Okay.
Okay, Cody, I put a T for
Trader. Twice times 2. T times T2.
He didn't play all that much, so I'm not shocked he's back. But let's go to Turcotte. Let's go to you, Cody.
Turcotte, C.
Okay. Kevin?
C. That to reference that line again, the Kuzmenko Fiala Turcotte line was actually very fun to watch, so I want to reference it one last time. C for Turcotte. I don't know what his future is. Where is he going to play? I'm not sure. We'll see. So C.
Daryl?
Yeah, I think I'd leave it at a C as well. I think he needs to establish a role. He's been around now long enough. Is he a centerman? Is he a winger? Third line, fourth line? Where does he fit? I think he needs to really come and have a good camp and make that clear where he is trying to play on this team.
Okay. Jesse?
I give him a C. He was fine. I think he's overrated by fans who want very much for him to be better than he is, but he's fine.
Yeah, I'm pretty much C's all the way around. That's what I have too. Now we're going to do a quick thing on the coaching staff and the general manager, and we're done. Let's start off with who finished as coach for the Kings, DJ Smith. What about you, Jesse? What did you think about DJ Smith?
You're going to make me go first. I give DJ Smith a C. He was handed a difficult situation. He handled it fine, but the reality is until the last 10 games or so, his record was almost identical to that of Jim Hiller's as far as points percentage. The goals were way up. The goals against were way up. Points percentage was fine. Then they hit a patch of scheduled games where they won 5 or 6 in a row thanks to a favorable schedule and Anton Forsberg showing up. And all of that is credited to DJ Smith's, attacking style and sort of doubling down on the camp counselor, believe in yourself, rah-rah speeches that Jim Hiller started the season with. But the reality is, I think, is essentially the same team. So he was fine. I give it a C.
What about you, Daryl?
I'm going to give him a B plus because I think he comes in at a time the team was broken. They needed an injection. He provided it. They got into the playoffs, something that a lot of people didn't believe they were going to get to when he took over. His record, I believe, was 11-6-6 to finish, top 7 or 8 in the league. So B plus for him.
Okay. Kevin?
Yeah, I give him a B also. I mean, when he, like Jesse mentioned, he came into like a pretty impossible situation at the time. I mean, pretty much the whole season, I was saying, things aren't going great, but the Kings will find a way. They'll find a way. They'll get in the playoffs. And they were kind of right there for most of it. And then it started to actually slip away. And that's when he came in. And like Jesse mentioned, it actually didn't go too great for quite a while. And then he kind of found his way with a favorable schedule there, perhaps had an unfavorable schedule to start with. I think his first game was against Colorado, but then either way did definitely have that favorable schedule to end with. All that being said, he did get the team into the playoffs when I don't know if many people, we were kind of on the fence whether or not the team would get in right at that point. So all B is fine for me.
Cody?
B.
I gave him a B plus just because he did come into that bad situation and he did get us into the playoffs. Anyways, this guy, I'm going to go first on this guy.
A plus. A plus.
He knows who I'm talking about. Newell Brown. I still haven't figured out why we even hired him. He was terrible with the Ducks, and Cody gives him an A plus, and that's just to get you all to smile. What about you, Daryl? How'd you think about Newell Brown?
I thought Newell was a really good communicator with the guys. I think he got well with them. His attitude, what he brought to the rink every day, was really important, especially for a team that struggled all year. So I'm going to give him a B plus.
Okay, Jesse.
I don't know. I didn't know we were doing coaches. I don't think I know enough about how much responsibility the assistant coaches get in terms of different things. I think it's really easy to sort of point to the struggles on the power play and say, well, Newell Brown was the power play coach, therefore, boo, Newell Brown. At one point in the season, Jim Hiller openly stated that he was going to take over the power play and then quickly walked it back. I suspect I know why, and I'll keep that to myself. But, the 5 forward power play, how much of that was Newell Brown? How much of that was Jim Hiller? I don't know. I don't know. Sorry. I don't know.
Okay. Kevin?
Yeah, I mean, just to, I'm a guest on your guys' podcast, so I know that Cody is not the biggest Newell Brown fan. However, like you, Jesse, I'm not exactly sure what his scope of influence is. I mean, we could point to the special teams and say, yeah, they absolutely underperformed, and they did. However, again, we like you mentioned, Jesse, there were those comments from Jim Hiller where he said, I'm going to start having a hand in the power play, which was, I don't know how transparent that truly is, how truthful that is. I don't know what the situation is. Is he playing his cards close to his chest, whatever, and he had more influence before, he had less before? I have no idea. So maybe incomplete is fair.
Okay. Now let's go to the goalie coach, Mike Buckley.
Can I start?
Yeah, you can start.
I give him an A. I really like Mike. The goalies outperformed expectations. They got dealt an incredibly harsh blow halfway through the season, and they rebounded and still made the playoffs. So I give Mike Buckley an A.
Daryl?
Yeah, I would give Mike Buckley his marks. I'll give him an A as well.
Kevin?
A. There's a reason he's so respected, and it's an A.
Cody?
I mean, I think it's an easy A. He's the only coach that's still there.
It's fair.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, you get to bring a whole new coaching staff, and you keep the goalie coach because there was nothing wrong with the goalies. So, and Mike Buckley's a great goalie coach. So, I mean, that's an easy A.
I gave him an A minus, but it's still in the A area. How about Coach Hiller?
Can I start?
Kevin? Yeah, go ahead.
I always love when Jesse wants to take it first.
I'm going to give 2 different grades on this.
Okay.
Because Jim Hiller, the person, is an A++. plus across the board. Like, I cannot say enough. There are very few people that I am as fond of personally as Jim Hiller. And I don't know him that well. But I think Jim Hiller is a great guy. I think he did his absolute best. I thought the strengths that he brought to the team last season simply aren't the kind of strengths that can withstand, a long season. But the behind the bench Jim Hiller screwed up and made a lot of mistakes. And some of them were not his choice. Some of them were, some of it was complicated by things we'll never know. But ultimately, he did get fired. So behind the bench, Jim Hiller, I got to give an F to. But away from the rink, Jim Hiller, A+. A practice Jim Hiller, A+. Locker room Jim Hiller, A+. Media Jim Hiller, A+. Behind the bench, unfortunately, you get fired. That's a mark. So I got to give him an F on that one.
How about you, Kevin?
Yeah, I gave him an F, but I mean he literally failed, right? He was fired through the season, so he gets an F. However, I think this is the best way that I've heard it described. Perhaps the lights were too bright for him. He seems like a great hockey mind. He seems like a great hockey guy, and people that know a lot more about the game than I do speak extremely highly of him as a hockey mind. And of course, we've heard of all the great things about him as a person as well. Seems like a good dude. Obviously, don't know anything about him personally. All that being said, wish him the best, and maybe I know the lights are much brighter in Toronto, but maybe that's where it works out.
I was gonna say that,
but let's hope so, anyways, right? Best of luck to him.
You go next, Cody.
No, I was gonna say when he said the lights were bright for him, I was like, yeah. Then you go to the place that has the brightest lights in the league. But for Hiller, I would say I've heard great things, like Jesse was saying about him. So like 2 grades: A as a person, but as the Kings coach last year, I'd give him a D-.
Wow. What about you, Daryl?
Well, I think for Jim Hiller, I think you look at the year before when they went into playoffs with 105 points and they got beat by Edmonton. One hell of a job that entire season. I don't think he ever overcame that loss against the Edmonton Oilers, and I think that affected the way the Kings went into the season last year. So, great person, great with us with the media. Always a great conversation. Give us a lot. I would give him a B.
Yeah, boy, Jesse, you were all over the board. F to all the way to an A+. That's the whole gamut right there.
He's a really nice guy.
I gave him a C, and sometimes this is what I understood. And now Daryl probably knows better than any of us, really, because he's so connected to the team. But sometimes I felt like he was trying to control Brandt Clarke to a point where his abilities, he couldn't use them like he wanted to. And I felt that was hurting. That ended up hurting the team. Even Byfield maybe was controlling aspects to where they were so focused on something they maybe weren't good at to make that better that they didn't let their talent play. So I gave him a C. Now, last but not least, our new GM, Ken Holland. This is the last grade we're going to give today. Cody, why don't you start since you don't matter?
Can I ask one real quick clarifying question on the Ken Holland grade?
Sure.
So I'm assuming we start from the moment he took the job last May or whatever it was.
Yes.
Yeah.
When is the end of the year, according to you guys? Are we including this year's free agency crop, or are we stopping at the end of the Colorado?
Yeah, we stopped before the. Yeah.
Because trust me, we had to do this with Pat Verbeek on ours.
Okay.
Because I literally had to clarify.
Yeah.
This is based on last year, not from July 1st on.
Mm-hmm.
So trust me, I'm good. That's a good
we're
question.
Grading him on the 25-26 season. Free agency started the 26-27 season.
Okay.
Yes. Since I'm starting, I'd give him a D-. A lot of the signings he brought in I'll give him a D because he did bring in Panarin on a very good deal, and then even extended him. But everything else, just CC, Dumoulin. I mean, Perry was, I guess, a good one, and you traded him for a second round pick, so I'll give him a plus on.
And we lost Cody's voice.
I'm here.
Oh, there you go.
Um,
Okay, so you gave him a D.
Well, hold on, but what took him so long to do the coaching change? That's the I feel like he waited way too long. It should have been done either before the Olympics or during the Olympics, not 2 weeks after the Olympics or whatever it was. So I would say I'll give him a D.
Okay. Kevin?
Well, I went ahead and I gave him a B, actually. I thought Ken Holland, I mean, so it started off pretty rough that, I mean, we saw the reaction in social media. It was horrible. It was like he had done the most awful, evil things imaginable. And that was with the Dumoulin and CC contracts. And I think that was mostly down to the term, right? I think that's what people were not happy with. However, from there on, I mean, it's hard to really criticize too much. He's brought Artemi Panarin to LA. I mean, that's pretty awesome. And how much of that was him? How much of that was Panarin? Maybe he just fell into his lap. I don't know. All that being said, he did come under his watch. I'll go ahead and give him a B.
Okay. Jesse?
Man, I really don't like giving some of these grades with Daryl watching. Just full disclosure. I'm going to give him a D, just for last year. Most of the decisions he made, I felt, were sort of made for him. Deneau and Fogle asked for trades. Spence asked for a trade. Perry, Tampa and again, this is based on publicly available information, so I'm going to take it all at face value. Tampa acquired about Perry a week before the trade deadline. Perry was asked and agreed to a trade. So none of the trades required a ton of work on his part. He lost Gavrikov to free agency after months of buildup of people assuring everybody that Gavrikov was going to be brought back, a favorable agent situation with Morris. He replaced, like I talked about it earlier, replaced $8.5 million in contract with, Spence and Gavrikov with Dumoulin and CC, who, say what you will about them, but they weren't terribly effective. Had to fire the coach. I felt really, really mishandled the timing of the firing of the coach. They had that Olympic break. They acquire Panarin right before the Olympic break, but bring Jim Hiller back for 2 games, then fire him. Every time he was talking to the media during the season, there was the Kempe extension, which again, is kind of a no-brainer. You give Adrian Kempe max amount and max, and you pay him less than you maybe need to give him the most amount of money. The Brandt Clark contract walks him straight into unrestricted free agency, and it's kind of like, if I was Brandt Clark's agent, I'd be super thrilled with that contract. The team 15 points less in the standings and a first round sweep. After all the talk when he was hired about this is a man with a resume who's going to get them over the hump, etc. Like, I just didn't see him do a lot. And the things that he did do, I felt were sort of done for him. He just had to rubber stamp them. The Artemi Panarin trade, we find out from Artemi Panarin, I'm sorry, I don't remember whether it was Kevin or Cody that said that it wasn't clear how much of that was Holland or Panarin. But like we heard from Panarin, he told New York it was LA or go back to Russia. And then there's an interview circulating of Panarin speaking in Russian, saying that he wanted to come to LA because of the jerseys, and he wouldn't go to Seattle for more money because he didn't like their jerseys. I don't know how much of that is tongue in cheek. I don't know how much of that is true or sincere or whatever, but like, it's a lot of laurel resting for one trade that apparently was forced by exterior forces. So I don't know. And this one to me is the most damning. We've known that Anze Kopitar was departing for a while. Like, even if he didn't announce his retirement until the beginning of the training camp, he put his house on the market in 2023. He signed a 2-year extension and was pretty blunt and straightforward to the media about his intention to move back to Slovenia when his career was done. Like, the signs were all pointing to Anze Kopitar retiring at the end of this season, and no attempts were made to replace that player. There were plenty of trades. There were plenty of opportunities to address it, and it was never addressed, but there was lots of talk about needing to evaluate and needing to take the temperature and see where the team was going. The team was going to a spot where Anze Kopitar was leaving. And they traded Phil Deneau, they traded Warren Fogle, they traded Corey Perry. traded Jordan Spence, and at no point did they get roster players back in exchange to fill that role. And I just think that's not a great job. So I give him a D.
Okay, Daryl?
Yeah, I'm going to give him a B. I think what you're going to see from Ken's work, and the things that he's been doing since the day he started with the LA Kings, is going to come out in the future. In a position like that, when you want to get things exactly what you want, you don't come in and start blowing guys out, start trading everybody all over the place, and going out and spending crazy money at free agency. So I respect what he's done, and I think the best of the work that he has done is going to come out here in the next couple of years.
Okay. I gave him a C, and a lot of it was because of, obviously, if we grade him after free agency, the grade would be higher, I think.
Agreed.
Totally. I mean, I think he did a fantastic job after the fact. But for this last season, I gave him a C. I think bigger and better things are going to come. I know we've kept you guys a long time, and I really do appreciate everybody's time that they gave today. And I know, Jesse, we definitely want to support you with all the King's Men. I love to listen to your broadcast all the time, your podcast and so forth. You want to tell everybody how they can reach you?
Sure. You can hit me up on any social media, Reddit, Discord, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. They're all at Kingsmen Podcast, I believe, or at some variation of that. It might be pod instead of podcast on some platforms, but you can email me, kingsmenpodcast@gmail.com. People have asked me what's the best way to consume all the Kingsmen to support me personally. And I think for now, the answer is watch it on YouTube, on the LA Kings YouTube channel. I personally think it benefits me if the Kings see that there is an audience of people who want to consume my work, and that's on the LA Kings YouTube page. So go to the LA Kings YouTube page, go to the podcast tab, and I'm right there in between Royalty and all the Kings Men live from a few years ago during COVID. There's two versions of me. But yeah, and we have an interview with, I think Mark Yannetti was last week. And the week before that was Scott Wheeler. So it's pretty good stuff. So yeah, thanks for having me on, guys.
Well, appreciate it. Daryl, anything you would like to say? We really appreciate your time today, Daryl.
You guys just keep up the great work. Enjoy the rest of the summer, and hockey's just around the corner.
And Kevin, how about you? We appreciate you all coming on, doing the grades, getting it done.
Yeah. Thank you guys for having me. I mean, on the off chance you guys ever want to meet up with me, I mean, I go to the Kings games when they're up here in my area. So at Seattle and Vancouver, I'll be at all of those. You can find me, maybe Kevin KFUT on Twitter if you want to look for me on the off chance you want to yap.
Well, I want to thank everybody today about coming on. Hopefully everybody's going to enjoy the podcast. Cody, you usually close us out?
No, just or if you guys have any links or anything, email it to royallyquacked@gmail.com, and I'll put it in the show notes. That way they can reach everyone where they need to. But on that, follow us on all social media, Royally Quacked, Twitter, X, or whatever you want to call it, Facebook, Instagram, and hit the subscribe button here on YouTube and follow us on Twitch, and hopefully we'll be back at going live. I think we're taking next week off. It's my parents' anniversary next week, so let's all pray for my mom. So let them enjoy the anniversary. I think they deserve it. So take another week off. It's the summer, so nothing big has happened anyway. So on that, but thank you everyone for coming out. Daryl, Jesse, Kevin, always appreciate you guys coming on.
Yeah, all right, thanks, guys. Have a good one.
You too.